Hey everyone, thanks for watching Championship Time, and if Tuesday night's live stream is any indication, you are freaking out about matchups and lineup decisions, and I wish I could perfectly tell you what to do in every situation. You know that I can't. In a lot of cases, I know exactly the same information that you know, but at least we can talk through some of the dicier players out there and hopefully help you come to your decision. Hey there, I'm Chris, and normally we kind of just have a straight ranks conversation on our Wednesday show. This is a little bit different considering the fantasy finals are upon us. So we are still going to scroll my initial ranks for Week 16 as we go throughout the show. I would, as always, encourage you to go check harrisfootball.com because these are just the initial ranks. They're going to change as we get news throughout the course of the week. So make sure harrisfootball.com is where you're going before you're setting your lineups. In the meantime, I thought what we would do is really kind of sort through some of the key pressure points, the players that y'all seem to be the most worried about. Got a lot of questions about the possible return of Niners tight end George Kittle, so let's first talk about that. Like I said, in a lot of these situations, you're working with the exact same information that I am. We're reading the same beat reports. We're guessing, we're hoping. And you'll see that in my initial ranks, I didn't put George Kittle in there. At this point, all the questions I'm getting about Kittle are based on the coach, Kyle Shanahan, refusing to rule Kittle out. And refusing to rule somebody out to the media is not exactly a ringing endorsement. You know how great the guy is when he's healthy and when he's playing. So there's immense upside if he's active Saturday against the Cardinals. There's also zero floor. The Niners are eliminated from the playoffs. Nick Mullins is out for the year. It'll be C.J. Beathard playing quarterback. And I can tell you, given what a crap show tight end is, I'll probably put Kittle top 5 if he's active. If you're looking to tell you exactly what will happen if he is active, I don't know. Nobody can tell you that. I certainly can't tell you that. And to prove my point, all you have to do is look no further than this guy. Keenan Allen was active last Thursday night and then played 23 of a possible 62 snaps, got one end zone target, and otherwise completely screwed his fantasy squads. So you know what can go wrong. But before you tell me the right thing to do in every situation is to not use a star player when he's questionable with injury, I'll remind you of Julio Jones back in Week 6. He had completely messed with us in Week 4, playing through a questionable tag, but only playing 15 snaps. Then he was questionable again in Week 6, and he scored 2 touchdowns and had 137 yards against the Vikings. Nobody can tell you the future. Nobody can really even lay out the odds for you. It seems logical that if a team with nothing to play for puts their star tight end back into the lineup 2 months after the last time he played, that he's healthy and ready to rock, but we don't really know. Could have said the same thing about Keenan Allen last week too. The bottom line is you have to make the choice about which scenario will torture you more, starting these guys and having them limp around and barely play, or watching them go off on your bench. Okay, next, we're all going to be waiting and watching to see if Zeke Elliott gets healthy enough to play Sunday against the Eagles, because this guy, Tony Pollard, as we discussed on Monday's show on this channel, he was good against the Niners. He had some stuffed runs, but he also scored a couple of times and busted a couple of big plays, and I got asked the question, how do you know if Zeke is active? How do you know that Pollard won't keep the starting job? Won't they continue with what worked in Week 15? After all, they are still in the playoff chase. And my answer is I don't know. I don't know any more than you do. My guess is that Zeke Elliott is the biggest star the Cowboys have left, and that deep down in their hearts, the team doesn't believe that Pollard is better. I'm not personally positive about that, and not in all aspects. But myself, the way I'd be approaching it is assuming that if Elliott is back, we'll return to something like the arrangement before. Zeke missed a game, a majority of the work for him. Not enough to feel amazing about using him. He'd probably rate around RB20, but too much work for him, for Pollard to really be trustable in your fantasy finals. Though again, this is simply me making a guess, and you might have a different guess, and that's okay. Okay, I'll get back to your championship week decisions in just a moment. First, let's thank the sponsor. Our sponsor today is Manscaped. Here is my Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped. It's a body trimmer. It's great. Let's talk about it. Precision tools for your family jewels. The question is, should you continue to be a hairy wildebeest, or could maybe you use possibly the best body hair trimmer on the market? I'd say, the only way to really know is to ask your partner. Do you think your partner would mind a little grooming? Funk music is really great. Funk places on your body, especially your nether regions, not so good. Lawnmower 3.0 from Manscaped is great. I use it. Keep everything nice and tidy, hair-wise, all over your body. Make yourself presentable. And Manscaped has all sorts of other products to keep you feeling and looking and smelling great all over. If you're going to be emerging from quarantine in the new year, do it groomed. Go to manscaped.com. I love mine. I really do use it. We've got a code HarrisTube. If you use it, you'll get 20% off your purchase with free fast shipping. The channel does not keep happening without the sponsors, so we really appreciate them. And if you support them, that helps keep the channel going. Okay, so another lineup drama that is certainly going to affect probably more fantasy lineups than you might think is what's going to wind up happening with Washington at quarterback, not so much because of the quarterback himself, but because of the skill players around him. As of our making this video, my assumption has been that Dwayne Haskins will not be available to play for Washington because he violated COVID protocols. And frankly, I don't want Haskins as the quarterback if I'm considering using the likes of Terry McLaurin and Logan Thomas and J.D. McKissic in my fantasy finals. Not trying to tell you that Alex Smith is great. I think his best quality is that he's more predictable. In my ranks at the moment, I've got McLaurin in the top dozen or so receivers, McKissic in my top 24 running backs, and Logan Thomas as a clear starting option among tight ends. But that's really assuming we're going to have Alex Smith under center. Even then, nothing's guaranteed. McLaurin had a real slow week 2 weeks ago, even with a full game of Alex Smith. We see Peyton Barber come in and steal short touchdowns from J.D. McKissic. Obviously, I am, at this point, making the assumption Antonio Gibson doesn't play, which I guess also could turn out to be wrong. But I think no matter what, the thing we should realize is if Smith can't play and Haskins is suspended, Washington will probably start Taylor Heinicke under center, and he's, I don't think, played a down of regular season NFL football in his life. And that, my friends, would scare me off of using any of these skill players. Not that someone won't produce a usable fantasy day, but it'd be way too unpredictable for my tastes. So I think if you're hoping to use any of the Washington skill players, you should be hoping Alex Smith can go against Carolina. Another question you might be asking about my Week 16 ranks, as you've been seeing them scroll by, hey man, why are you putting Myles Gaskin way up high in the running back ranks and barely ranking Salvon Ahmed at all? Didn't you just see Ahmed run all over the Patriots? What makes you so sure the Dolphins are going to totally hand the reins back over to Gaskin? And to be honest, it's a good question. I don't know. I'm guessing. When it comes to how players are going to be deployed, especially when a situation changes, I hope it's obvious that everyone is guessing. None of us are in that coaching room. So if you have a different intuition about how that's going to go and you don't feel comfortable taking the shot on Gaskin, and that's even assuming Gaskin's going to be activated from the COVID list, which as of our making this video wasn't a positive thing either, then I completely understand. What I can say from my perspective is if Gaskin gets activated, seems like each time he's been in there since basically week 2, anytime we thought he might get his workload split with Matt Breida or Jordan Howard or anyone else, Gaskin has pretty much stayed on top, and that included Week 13 when he came back from a knee injury and had 23 touches. Now, COVID might be different. You might be right about that, and if you shy away entirely, I hear you. And then the other way around, if Gaskin isn't going to play and we find that out, well, Ahmed gets a big boost against the Raiders on Saturday night. A great matchup, and he would definitely be in your lineup. It is a tough one to figure out. One thing you may have noticed in these Week 16 running back ranks as they've scrolled by, and also in the initial ranks at harrisfootball.com, is that James Robinson has not appeared, and that's because late against the Ravens on Sunday in a blowout, he suffered an ankle injury and stayed down, and my initial suspicion upon seeing it was that it might be a bad enough situation for a team who, let's face it, finally finds itself in control in the quest for the number 1 overall draft pick. Maybe Robinson takes a rest and doesn't play hurt. But if you're watching this and you've already been assured that Robinson will play on Sunday against the Bears, what can I tell you? Once again, we're going to be doing that thing we talked about earlier, the George Kittle thing, the Keenan Allen thing. Robinson has been absolutely rock solid for fantasy. He's a big part of why you're in the championships. I'd suspect you got to get him in lineups. I think I would put him in mine. But obviously, if you do so, you will have to reconcile yourself to the idea that he might not get his usual workload or he might get re-injured. I think it's a risk you have to take, but it is a risk. And lastly, I was really surprised how many DK Metcalf questions I'm getting. Hey, should I be worried about DK Metcalf this week? He has to play against the Rams. Last time I saw him play against the Rams, 2 catches, 28 yards. Shouldn't I think about sitting him? And all I can say about that is I sure wouldn't. I don't know what's going to happen. I can't see the future. This Seattle pass offense has slowed down in December, but I simply am never going to use the philosophy that says I should judge things only by matchups. Matchups matter. Would I rather Metcalf have a nicer Week 16 matchup? Yep. He could get shut down again. He could. But I kind of use the poker analogy. There are right ways to play hands and wrong ways. And you can win doing the non-percentage play. You can go all in on a pair of 2s, and it can work out. But personally, I can deal with it much more easily if I put my superstars in my lineup and they don't perform, more than I can deal with it if I bench someone like Metcalf and he goes off for 3 touchdowns. Can't see the future, but I can tell you I would be using DK Metcalf no matter the matchup. So that's going to do it. Don't go anywhere. Before we get going here, I want to mention that our good friend who is producing this show right now, Dave Hewitt, has started a new venture. If you're a fantasy hoops player, fantasy basketball, we're going to put a link up for you somewhere right now. Dave is doing it. Fantasy Basketball Analyzer is the name of his channel. Brand new. He's going to be doing videos that walk you through your lineups week by week. Really appreciate it if you take a look, because Dave is great. It's going to be wonky. It's going to be really fun, and I think you're going to get great info out of it. So please check out Dave's new channel. Of course, harrisfootball.com for the latest ranks. Don't rely on what you've seen scrolling here, because I will make changes to the ranks all the way through Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, as news warrants. And of course, also please support the sponsors, because that really is how the channel happens. Thank you to Manscaped for sponsoring today, and I appreciate you very much. Good luck in those fantasy finals. Go get a championship. I will see you on the other side. Bye. Thanks so much for watching. Please, please, please smash that like button, write a comment, tell us who else you'd like to see us review film on, and of course, best of all, please subscribe to our channel and then click that little bell above the subscribe button, and you'll be notified whenever we post a new video.